Hi, I'm Rigger. This is You're Right, and we need to have a talk about Chapter 12. Before all that though, be sure to like the video if you like it, share it if you think others would like it, let me know your thoughts in the comments down below, and subscribe if you want to see more. Okay, so, I'm just gonna be upfront with this. I was really disappointed in this chapter. Now, if you know me and my channel, I'm not going to scream and rant and get angry, and I'm also not going to, fly off the handle, but I am also going to be fair, and say when I don't like something. In my thoughts video, I said I couldn't decide if I liked the episode or not, and that wasn't a lie, I'll never lie to you. The thing is, with those videos, I make them immediately after watching the episode. I start within seconds of finishing it, so it really is my first initial thoughts. But when I sat back and thought about it, some hours passed, and I realized more and more what the deal was. So, here's the thing. As if almost to contradict myself, I liked the episode. But as an episode, I liked the plot, I liked the fight, I thought the voice work was pretty great. I loved the new Spirit a lot, I thought he was really cool. As an individual episode, I did enjoy watching it. It was good. But I couldn't put my finger on why I was also feeling my heart sink. I realize it's because of the overall plot, where we're going. Now, I want to get this out of the way. It's not because I was wrong, right? I know I'm a theorist and I've put out so many videos about the possible endings and none of them were this, so clearly I'm just mad I couldn't guess it, right? No, not at all. It just doesn't work like that. When you make a lot of theories like I do, you're not invested in being right. If you were, you couldn't make them because you'd be constantly annoyed and upset when you weren't right. And that's not, very good for making content. No, you don't be invested in being right, you're just happy if you are right. And if you're not, you move on. You just look at all the information and come up with your own ideas and try and make it fun and interesting, and you logic out the steps and see where you possibly could go. If it goes somewhere, so be it. If not, that's okay. That's not the issue here. But it does tie back to some of my theories when I explain some of this, and really everyone's theories, because it's not that the theories were wrong, it's that I don't think this is better than any of them. What this sets up for our final two chapters feels a bit like a waste. See, I was really happy with this season so far, truly. What I liked is we had this constant build towards these impossible scenarios. We've had lots of talks of character death, Salem is here, Ironwood's gone mad, Cinder is on the loose, and Neo's being awesome and wanted to murder people. We have the possibility of maiden powers moving around, which is always fun. We have so much. But it all seems kind of irrelevant now. The grand climax isn't so grand now, it's been diverted. All that build and anticipation went to a sharp left turn, which could be amazing, but looks like a turn that I don't really want to see that much. It doesn't seem to have a lot of potential. Look, I'm not going to do the theory. The theory literally everyone has right now. For transparency, I'm writing the script the night of the day the episode came out. So, it came out in 3 in the morning for me, like 3 AM, and I'm writing this word in the script at 12:35 that night. There's a very good chance other people have already put out their theory and covered it, and we're all going to say the same thing. The girl who fell through the world, don't fall, they all fall at the beginning in the intro, and Oz saying that the girl fell into a magical place. It's Alice in Wonderland, okay? The team, or just RWBY, or everyone who knows is going to fall into a magical realm. Wherever this place is. We're doing an isekai arc or something like that, okay? Like, we pretty much are doing that. And when you look at the creators and how much they love anime and stuff, sure, this is in the realm of things they might want to do. Maybe we go to meet the gods, Maybe we go back in time. Something like that. It sounds interesting, but I'm coming to realize that I'm not as interested as they'd like me to be. We spend a whole volume walking through another land. Okay. We now have to meet all new characters we don't know, and there won't be any real consequences because we'll have to go back to the real world at some point and resume the story. There probably won't be much of a big bad if we're invested in, it'll just have to be the thing we have to beat to go home. Look, there could be some cool references. I'm not going to make the whole theory video, so I'm just going to give you my ideas in here. So this is like a mini theory video where I'm just giving my take, okay? One is going back in time, and that's somehow how we do Team Stark, right? Like, the girls go back in time, and maybe, who totally goes back in time is up to debate, but let's just say, in general, the girls go back in time, and we see the backstory of Team Stark happen in front of them. Maybe they can't see them, or they have other faces, or whatever, like, you can do magic-y stuff. And, or it could just all be a vision, right? And also, maybe that's how we sort of find out about really what happened to Summer. My leading theory with that right now would be RWBY has to kill Summer in the past. That would make Summer the Jabberwocky. And the Vorpal Sword could be the Sword of Destruction. So in the past, RWBY has to take the Sword of Destruction, which is the Vorpal Sword, to kill her own mother, who is now become a beast, the Jabberwocky. That could be emotional. to realize that RWBY had to be the one to put her mum out of her misery, and realize that the reason her mum never came home is because RWBY herself killed her mum. You know, not that she could come back as a Grimm, but the idea that, oh, the reason mum never came home is this happened to her, but also I killed her in the past. You could do that. That could be interesting. You could also have characters based on, like, the Cheshire Cat and the Caterpillar and a few other things like that. Like, you could do some fun character designs with that. It would be emotionally impactful on our characters, and it would change who they were coming out the other side. That's where, like, the volume sort of point would be. It's RWBY at the end of Volume 8 is one person, then they go on this trip, and by the end she's a completely different person by the time she gets back out into Volume 9. And probably, like, time is on pause, right? So for everyone else it's moments, but suddenly this different girl appears, you know. It's still RWBY, but she's totally changed, she's gone through so much. That could be something, but I'm still not that excited to see it if it happens that way. Because while I am all for character growth, a whole arc that is just character growth while everything else is on pause kind of feels a bit cheap. Rather than learning from the things happening, we're just taking a break to do all the character development in one go and stop the plot and then resume it later. Because that's the issue with time travel when it's like, you know, going to the past and doing the thing. You already know the result because it's already happened, you know, that thing. Because in this version, she would be doing the thing that she did before because, yeah. And then you get into, like, has this whole thing happened before? And it's the world on a cycle and why would the gods do that? And it's really confusing, and I don't know if we want to go into that. Despite the cool ideas of, like, her mum being the Jabberwocky, that's a cool idea to me, but, you know, I know you're having to kill her own mum, but it's like, I don't know, it brings up so many other questions and issues that I don't know if we want to dive into that. Because in the end, it's just we end up back where we started, just the characters have changed. Other ideas are, like, going to the god realms or whatever and meeting the gods, perhaps in, you know, the other world, and maybe trying to change the deal or learn more. Perhaps more truths about the past and history will be revealed to us, and maybe we'll learn about the spirits and the relics and all of that. Maybe more in line with my Jin was human theory, you'll learn where they all came from and their backstory because you're sort of in the magic realm. We know the characters of the gods a little bit, and you could expand on them because they'd be, you know, people you recognize. And they could also be in the Wonderland because it could sort of be a vision, the whole thing, right? Sort of not real, but they're gods, so of course they are real because they can do what they want. You know, you learn the background on all the magical elements in the world and sort of what's been happening behind the scenes. Another one is it could be Cinder who falls, not just because of the joke, but the way Oz says that the girl never learned from her failures and all she ever did then was continue to spread them, and Cinder seems to be poised for some self-reflection given what we have seen of her, and she was our closing cliffhanger in the pocket dimension as well, so it'd also be her character growth, or maybe she goes with them, you know, some bad guys could fall and some good guys, and maybe they become friends by the end of it, or have to learn to work together to get out again, or something like that, you know. Cinder, who hates RWBY with all her passion, has to work with her because neither of them will escape the nether realm without each other's help, so they can't kill each other. That could be something, you know, do a changing of the guard, and that's how Cinder turns good, I guess. They come out the other side wanting revenge on Salem. That could be interesting, I like that idea. Probably more than the others. Not that I want Cinder to actually really turn good, but if you're going to do it, like, that would be interesting. Or you could do it with Neo, but I don't think so. Neo works better in small doses. There's also the option that we do a side-by-side, so time isn't really on pause. It's like RWBY or Team RWBY in the other world, and alongside that we see stuff in Vacuo and people traveling or something. So we bounce back and forth, episode to episode sort of thing, trying to break up the season again. So it's half a travel volume and half not. You know, people are doing things, but on the other half, they're just traveling through Wonderland. It'll feel a very Goku on Snake way, I think, though. People are doing real things to prepare and cope, and then cut back to Fantasyland, and we're just traveling and dealing with, you know, hurdles along the way. In concept, it's not terrible, but it's just, I just feel it really undercuts the drama of this volume for me. See, I really liked the big build for the climax, and somehow this diversion, while it has some story potential, it also robs a lot of that build. I wanted to see the big fight, I wanted to see Atlas crash, but instead, Ironwood is just down for now, Atlas is falling slowly off screen, Salem so far isn't back in time to do anything, and even if she came back, they're in another dimension now, so it's just Cinder and Neo and Watts in the pocket dimension. Sure, it's a fantastical looking setting for a fight, but it's sort of Penny's just so much more or less interesting now to me. I was so against her actually real girling, like, for real, I never liked that idea. I've seen it talked about a lot. I think it really defeats the message just to fit her in exactly with the fairy tale. Also, like I said, you lost a lot of potential you had there. Like, those powers are sort of locked onto her now, or she's gonna die again and no one wants to see that, when you could have done way more interesting things when she was still a robot, like I've talked about a lot. And, you know, there's a chance that then maybe Penny's involved in the Wonderland arc. It could be like a Penny training arc as she tries to learn to be a person alongside the team, learning to use her powers, learning to fight without her swords, other things like that. Okay, but I prefer it to be Ruby's journey if anyone. I think there's a decent chance Neo is the one who, like, kills Ruby, you know, sort of. In battle, Neo gets her last hit and stabs Ruby and she falls off the edge and she's gone, but then she falls into Wonderland, you know, must grow and survive and change down there. At least that way it gives Neo some payoff that she gets to kill Ruby, she thinks, but I don't know. It still sort of goes nowhere, and while I don't hate it, I just feel like the potential of what we already had set up was grander. Like, the climax could have been so much bigger than this fight in this little dimension here. This also puts Salem far away again. She gets left in Atlas and has to travel to Vacuo, and that's annoying as it stands. If you hadn't noticed, I really like Salem. And I know that she shouldn't always be present, but while she is, I don't think she's been used very well. Like, people say she's been totally undercut and depowered and not scary. I don't think that's true, but it'd go a long way to see her recover and do some destruction before the volume is out and she's gone again. Now, I think there's a chance Ironwood stays behind and has a showdown one-on-one with Salem to, like, stop Salem getting to the portals, perhaps, so we lose her and she can't follow. Trying to get a little redemption maybe for James and do the right thing to stop Salem getting to the portals with a self-sacrifice. But with how far James has gone, it's not really redemption. All it really does is get him killed, and then it stops Salem, and that's it. And it doesn't rebuild Salem's presence just to kill James. Like, okay, that's not that impressive. So when she does come back, she doesn't feel as threatening. Killing James as a big empty rock hits a big empty city doesn't really do much to make her that scary. While I don't think she's totally ruined or anything, it does unfortunately make Salem less impactful. It was okay with me that she blew up if she still managed to come back and do some crazy stuff and some more hurting before we close the book on her for another volume or so. I'm fine if she decimated a lot of Atlas, but Mantle and them got away to Vacuo, and then it takes Salem another volume to catch back up again. That's fine. It's fine having Salem do that, because if she's right over your shoulder for the whole show, it's going to get very repetitive and annoying and get boring. But before we break away from her, she needs to be really impressive, so we're scared when she does show back up again. But as of right now, it feels like basically everyone escaping from Mantle and Atlas is them chickening out on the mass death. When I talked about the mass death at the start of the volume, before the volume even started, when I was talking about what I'd like to see, I said the mass death wasn't enough. We also need names in that we know on top of it. Now, we're getting not the mass death at all, just the implied soldiers who died along the way, and some randoms, and most of the people got out, and then maybe we lose a name or two. Ren still could die. Penny's going to live, it seems, which I always thought she'd continue, but I thought they'd be more clever and take the powers away first, or we could play with it, but we're not doing that. She's just a person now, which I think is a loss. You know, those powers would be more interesting on other people. It would even be more interesting going to Cinder and making her a double maiden, and then having a depowered Penny who, you know, is struggling, and then even if she did have to then become human as well, like, you could do stuff, but no. Not happening. Because I talked about it before, you can do tricks like killing Penny, taking the powers, and then Pietro uses the last bit of his soul to refill Penny one last time. Pietro dies, and then Penny has to deal with the death of her dad. So it's not losing Penny, it's losing Pietro and her changing as a person and working towards becoming real, dealing with those emotions. And then the powers get moved, and, you know, we could do interesting stuff, but no, she's just a person, and I'm with those powers locked in, and I'm not super invested in that. The other option is that even after all this, we do have Cinder kill Penny now and rip the powers away, because now she's real, she definitely can't come back, and, you know, we give her the hope of, oh, she's going to be a real girl and finally achieve it, just to crushingly pull it away to try and make it really sad. But that would feel pretty hollow right now after all we just went through. You know, I don't think it'd be as crushing as they want it to be. We also have the staff in play now, which, as I explained in the Thoughts video, makes our team gods with how that thing can be used. It's very exploitable and broken. It's basically Marrow's stay all over again, but even crazier and more powerful. So it'll be annoying when they don't use it like that, because they can't, because it would break everything. Even if the bad guys, whoever is holding that staff, just wins everything. If you thought about how to use it, you know, it's way too powerful, but they're not going to address that, so that's going to be annoying. The reason the isekai thing falling, it's not really much of a theory now, also, because it's basically confirmed. Like, that's sort of why I'm not super like, ooh, what might happen, because one way or another, it's going to happen, which takes a lot of the mystery out of it now. Someone, probably RWBY, if not Team RWBY, if not more, maybe some bad guys, are going to fall. They've made it very, very, very obvious now, and that takes some suspense out of it because you're waiting for it to happen. Just like, without you, I am nothing. The girl who fell through the world has just suddenly turned up this volume, but it's been repeated and repeated. Then we follow it with the big falling scenario, don't fall, and obviously a thing you can very easily fall off, and the intro having never one fall. So it just makes it, you know, it's not very ambiguous at this point. It's gonna happen, or if it's not gonna happen, it's a real waste of a lot of things for a fake out. I think that's really where I felt my heart sort of sink. I felt the bottom drop out of my excitement because, oh, that's how we're gonna end, okay. Like, now we just wait for it. There's potential in the Wonderland arc to do cool stuff, but it feels really like a way to delay for Vacuo. Like, squeezing another season out of the show by going on a side adventure. If the group split up, I'm not confident about it either. If they do that, it's going back to volumes 4 and 5, which are the weakest volumes overall. I don't hate them, I'm not here to eviscerate them, but they are the ones people point out as being a hurdle to the show, and one of those things is it broke everyone up. So, if they do break people up, it's going to be kind of annoying. Things have gotten a lot better, so splitting up the team again will only hurt things, I think. They work better together. Or at least in large, like, smaller groups, you know? Not just on their own doing individual journeys, even if it was just RWBY separated. Plus, we also have all these other things like Nora needing to find out who she is alone, so maybe she'll fall to be physically separated and grow and learn on her own. But again, that as a swerve is not that great. Like, you know, there's all these death flags for Ren, but it's Nora who dies and falls into Wonderland. I can sit and theorize who might fall, but it's just reduced the impact now because it's just a roulette. It's not someone might fall, it's who's gonna fall. Like, this isekai thing, the Wonderland thing, there is fun in it, right? Like, I can sit around and be like, oh, Mad Hatter, maybe Roman will be in the visions because he's the Mad Hatter, right? He might be, or, you know, all these other things. Who's gonna, you know, is the hookah smoking caterpillar gonna have, like, smoke powers, or, you know, is there gonna be a thing to grow and shrink, you know, as a power, because, you know, the potion and stuff. Like, there's all these things you can do, but, like, that's fun to talk about, but I'm not sure I'm excited to see a whole volume of that arc. Or maybe they do like a half volume, I guess, but still, it's just taken away what a lot of I was looking forward to for this climax to potentially have. But now we've just diverted into this little pocket dimension in the showdown. He's going to be there and there's going to be falling, and, you know, there might be some fights back in Atlas with the portals and stuff, but really, And look, it's fine if you love this idea, obviously. I would never tell people what to like and what not. Of course not, my word is not law at all. I'm not going to stop watching the show either, I want to make that clear. I'm not going to stop making videos and stop enjoying what's happening and stop theorizing and that. But I'm going to be honest when I like something and when I don't and how I feel about it. So, this is that. I hope what I've said makes sense, and I hope some of it was interesting, you know, like I said, the Wonderland stuff, the girl who fell through the world stuff. It is a cool idea. In theory, I just don't think it's really going to help the show much. I know that also I'm shooting myself in the foot as a creator, not putting out a big girl who fell through the world theory, you know, with a cool big thumbnail, but I'm sure it'll be covered by my peers. I know it will. So, I love this show still, but I think this being the direction we're heading into for the climax of this volume is a poor choice, and I'm not super excited about it. Not capitalizing on Salem, not capitalizing on Ironwood. I think Penny was a waste with what they did with her. Cinder didn't get that growth yet, and even if she did, the position she's in, I don't think it's going to go too far. Neo was like the best this volume so far, but she's not really doing anything, and even if she gets her kill, I don't know where she goes from there. They'll still do things, of course, like I'm sure this will still be cool, but it's just not what could have been when I look at what the setup had potential to be. I feel like we lost a lot of that potential, building to this weird swerve and this whole new direction that, while in concept could be interesting, it has come out of nowhere and it feels like it might just be more like a stalling tactic. Maybe I'm proven wrong. I hope I am. This is the thing. Another thing is hoping you're wrong. I do hope I'm wrong. This could be awesome. For all I know, it's going to be great. I'm going to get wrapped back up in it, and they're going to prove me wrong, and this whole thing's going to blow us away. It could be. But as of right now, this is just how I feel about it, and I'm just being honest. Whatever the journey though, I'm still here for it. I haven't, like, lost my faith in the show or anything. It's all good. So I'm still here, don't worry about that. But that's the end of this. Anyway, until next time, my name is Rigger. I hope you have a wonderful day. And I hope I did alright.